You might think you already know wildcards in Excel. Most people use them in COUNTIF or maybe XLOOKUP and stop there. But wildcards show up in more places than formulas, and when you start combining them with Excel's other tools, you can solve problems much faster than most users realize. In this video, I'll show you both the basics and some less obvious uses that can really level up your workflow. Let's start with something familiar. I want to search through the descriptions for boots. We can see there are two records, and one way is with XLOOKUP. In the lookup value, we wrap boots in double quotes, followed by the asterisk wildcard character. The asterisk means any number of characters, so by placing one before and after the word boots, I'm telling Excel that boots can have any other text before or after it. Where am I looking it up? In the description. And I want to return the description. If there's none found, we'll just return the text not found. And lastly, in the match mode, I want 2 for wildcard character match, so it knows not to treat the asterisk as a literal character. Close parentheses, and it returns the first description for black leather boots. This is fine if you only have one possible match, or if you want the first match returned. But if you expect multiple results, this is the wrong tool. Instead, you can use filter. Here, I'm going to filter the whole table, and we can see it's called prod. In the include argument, I'm going to search for the term boots in double quotes because it's text. Note that I don't need to use wildcards with the search function because its purpose is to search for text within the string. Where am I searching? In the description column. Close parentheses on search. Now, if we check, you can see search returns an error where the search term boots is not found, and a number that represents the position of boots in that text string. We need to convert these results into true and false values, and we can do that by wrapping search in the isNumber function. If it's a number, it's going to return true. If it's an error, it returns false, and filter won't include them. So close parentheses on filter, press enter, and this time we get both results. Of course, if you only wanted to return the descriptions, instead of filtering the whole table, you could just filter the description column. And there's our 2 results. Okay, let's move on to counting. Let's say I want to count how many transactions were refunds. We can see the description mentions refund in cells D8 and D10, and with COUNTIF, I can count the description column where refund is at the beginning, middle, or end. So for that, I want an asterisk before refund and after refund. Press enter, and we get 2. With wildcards, we can turn COUNTIF into a powerful text search tool. Next, same idea, but now we're summing. Here, I want to SUMIFS the revenue, where the channel contains online. Now, because online is at the start of each channel name, I don't need an asterisk at the start. I only need one at the end because the end of the string is variable. Close double quotes, close SUMIFS, we get $1,700, which is made up of 3 items. With wildcard, SUMIFS doesn't need exact matches. Now let's move on to something more advanced. Instead of matching text, we're going to enforce a structure. Here I want employee IDs entered with capital EMP at the start, followed by 4 characters. And we do that with data validation. On the data tab, data validation, let's move it over a bit closer. Scroll down and I want a custom rule. And in the formula, I'm going to use COUNTIF. To count cell C7, I want to make sure this is a relative reference, which it is, because then the rule will be applied to each cell in the range that I've selected, comma, where it contains capital EMP, and then followed by exactly 4 characters. And we use the question mark wildcard, which ensures each character position is filled. Close double quotes, close COUNTIF, click OK. Now if I try to enter an ID that doesn't follow this format, I get an error. Tells me this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. Let's retry, put in another character. Now it allows it. However, with this rule, it also allows me to enter it with lowercase or even letters instead of numbers for the last 4 characters. If you want a strict alphanumeric enforcement, you need a different approach. Let's take a look. We'll go and apply data validation, and we want a custom rule. And this time we have 3 tests, so I need the AND function. The first test is to check whether the left 3 letters equal EMP exactly. So I want exact, left, and we're checking the left 3 letters in this cell. Close parentheses on left, where their EMP. Close exact. That's my first test. The next test is to check the length of the text in this cell equals 7. And the last test is to check the right 4 numbers are indeed numbers. So we can use right to test the right 4 numbers. Right will extract those numbers, but we need to wrap right in isNumber to make sure that what's returned are numbers. Now the right function is extracting these numbers as text, so we need to coerce the text back into numbers using the double unary, which is simply 2 minus signs. And then I can close parentheses on isNumber and close parentheses on and. Click OK. Let's test it out. It'll allow me to enter EMP1234. Will it allow me to enter EMP ABCD? No. Will it allow me to enter lowercase EMP1234? No. So you can see it's strictly enforcing the rules. Now this kind of logic, combining text functions, data validation and formulas, is exactly the type of skill that separates basic Excel users from confident advanced users. If you want to get really comfortable with this kind of thing, my Excel Expert course walks you through it step by step. It covers everything from core formulas through to tools like tables and pivot tables, so you understand how everything fits together. It's designed to help you go from I can get by to actually feeling in control of your spreadsheets. I'll put a link in the description and pinned comment if you want to check it out. So far we've been working mostly with formulas, but sometimes you just want to quickly extract the rows that match a pattern. That's where Advanced Filter comes in. It's one of Excel's older tools, but when you combine it with wildcards, it becomes a fast way to pull out exactly the records you need. Let me show you how this works. Let's say I want to extract the records for any customer names containing ABC. Over here I have the criteria consisting of the column name and then my criteria. You can see I'm searching for any string containing the letters ABC anywhere in the text string. I'll start by selecting my data and then on the Data tab of the ribbon, Advanced. This opens the Advanced Filter dialog. Now I want to copy it to another location. It's already populated the list range based on the cells I had selected. The criteria range is remembered from when I practiced it earlier, and I'm going to copy it to cell I7. If you want, you can also only return unique records. I'm going to let it return everything and click OK. And it returns the headers and the 3 matching rows. Now let's say I only want names beginning with ABC, in which case I remove the asterisk from the start. Let's delete this and we'll start again. Selecting the data, Advanced Filter. I want to copy it to another location. It's already selected the cells. Let's click OK. And now we just get the 2 results that start with ABC. Keep in mind that Advanced Filter isn't dynamically linked to the source data or criteria. So if you make changes, you have to run it again. Okay, let's switch gears from analyzing data to cleaning it. A common problem is inconsistent text, especially when extra details are added in brackets or notes like I have here. You could remove this text with formulas or using Power Query, but for one-off tasks, find and replace is much faster. And with wildcards, you can remove patterns even when the text varies. So with the data selected, Ctrl-H to open the Find and Replace dialog box. In the Find What, I want open parentheses, asterisk, close parentheses. What am I replacing it with? Nothing. I want to delete it, and I can replace all. It's made 4 replacements. Click OK and close. You can see this removes the brackets and everything inside. Up to now we've used wildcards in functions that support them directly like COUNTIF and SUMIFS. But what if you want to use that same logic inside an if statement? If doesn't recognize wildcards on its own, so we need a slightly different approach to make this work. This is a really useful pattern to understand. Here I have a table of system messages, and I need to identify which ones need investigating. The if function alone doesn't support wildcards, but COUNTIF does. So I can use COUNTIF to check if the message contains error anywhere in the text. So I want asterisk, error, asterisk, close double quotes, close COUNTIF. If that logical test returns a number other than 0, I want it to return check, otherwise return OK. Close if, press enter, and now I can count and filter the list to only show messages that need my attention. Of course, we can clear that filter, and don't forget you can also use the filter buttons here to filter text that contains in here error, and we get the same result. Now let's look at what happens when your data actually contains an asterisk or a question mark wildcard, because Excel will treat those as wildcards even if you don't want it to. And if you're not aware of this, your formulas can return completely unexpected results. Here I have some notes that include asterisks around special and deal. Let's say I want to COUNTIF notes that contain asterisks. So my range, other notes, and then the criteria, I need to allow for text either side of the asterisk. So we start with an asterisk. Then I want to count where there is an asterisk. So I use the tilde wildcard escape character followed by an asterisk to tell Excel to treat the asterisk as a literal character. Lastly, I need to allow for any text after the asterisk, so we need another asterisk wildcard, followed by double quotes, close parentheses on COUNTIF. And with that, COUNTIF counts all instances of notes that contain asterisks anywhere in the text string. And finally, let's bring this into conditional formatting. Now you can already highlight cells that contain text that meets specific criteria. But those rules are quite limited and they only work on one column at a time. As soon as your logic spans multiple columns, or you want to highlight entire rows, you need to step outside the built-in options and use a formula instead. Here I want to highlight the rows where the note contains the word urgent. So we want conditional formatting, new rule. And here I want to use a formula to determine which cells to format. And again, we're going to use COUNTIF. What are we counting? Well, the note. But we don't want to fully lock that reference. We want to F4 twice to only lock the column, so it checks each row in the table. The criteria is where the text contains urgent anywhere in the text string. Close double quotes, close COUNTIF. And then for the format, I want to format the font in this dark shade of red. Click OK, get a preview, looks good. And now I can easily see which orders are urgent. I can also use the filter by color to filter just by the formatted rows. Wildcards are one of those features that seem simple on the surface, but once you start combining them with formulas, filters, data validation, and formatting, they become a really powerful tool. If you want to build on this, I recommend watching this video next, where I walk through the most important Excel functions you need to know. A lot of what we covered here relies on those functions, so it's a great next step. I'll see you there.